their physicality, their mannerisms and expressions. This is key in early development to flesh out a character and understand them better before you commit to a design. You can see if their appearance works well with their personality. For this design, I'm going to use the skinhead cat. I'm going to use this drawing I've done before to try and flesh him out a little better and get a better understanding of how he moves and how he portrays himself. So the best way to do this is to start out with quick sketches. And I'm just going to, as usual, name the sketch. So you really want to keep these quick. More of a skeletal structure than anything we've done before. So you can make quick decisions about what would be appropriate. So by mapping out basic sketches to understand poses that he would maybe commonly be using, you can get an idea of whether something works or not. So would he be cocky like this? Or alternatively, perhaps more aggressive? Remember to use lines of movement, or action rather, just to know exactly how we're going to place these lines to make it dynamic. So there's 2 altering poses, and I kind of like the idea of him being a little bit more reserved perhaps, so I'm going to create a quick pose of that instead. So there's 3 different poses, and I prefer this one here, so I'm going to just begin fleshing this out a little bit more. Drop the opacity, create a new layer. Use reference from the drawing we did constantly, so I'm going to actually copy and paste it and put this new layer up close so I can take reference as I go. Now, we're going to do a turnabout in the next lesson, so we don't have to worry too much about getting a precise, accurate rotation of the face and a consistent design, because we're going to work on that next lesson. But for now, we want to be able to portray the attitude and the personality of the character, so that's what we're concentrating on right now. The design doesn't have to be consistent. So long as it does obviously look pretty much the same. Alright, so here we go. It's a very rough sketch, but it gives us an idea of how we imagine the character to be. And we can work with this in the future. Alright, there we go. Okay, so now I'm going to do a few examples of facial expressions. This will give us a good idea of how the face will be able to contort, how each emotion is going to look, and how the design responds to being pushed to limits like this. So to start off with, I'm going to probably work with a happy expression, because that's something that might not be seen much on the character like this, but it's a good idea to plan for it just in case, I guess. Every emotion should be able to be shown on the character, even if certain emotions wouldn't necessarily be the kind of emotions they'll give off, but so long as you have an idea of how they're going to look, you can work with what they'll use and what they won't. So, very quickly, I'm just going to... And with the Sphinx cat, it's kind of hard to imagine it's happy because it's got a very angry looking face anyway, so it's good to practice these things. Oh god. I don't want it to look too cheesy pie on this character because obviously it's still a villain. It's a good idea to plot out the eyes with the eye sockets before you start on the eyes, just so you can get that equal effect on each side of the face. Quite often when people draw eyes, they won't be able to mirror it properly on the other side of the face, but a very simple plot out like that helps a lot. Okay, bring this eye smaller. Remember the construct of the face. I'm going to actually copy and paste this design over as well, like before, just so we have two references, this one and this one. And obviously the wrinkles will move with the facial expression, so keep that in mind. Well, this is very specific for the character, but just keep in mind how a face will contort when pushed to different expressions. I'm not going to work too hard on the ears. Just leave it like that. And there we go. So there's a happy expression for this character. So we can see that it works just about, but it's not natural to the character, and it certainly wouldn't be commonly used. But it's good to have these things figured out early so we know. Okay, so we're going to work on something a little bit more accurate to this character, so an angry expression. And these just kind of look a bit pissed off, really, but we're going to work with actual rage, perhaps, just to push the limits of the face. So similar start to the other one. Begin with a ball for the skull, line of direction for the face, the eyes, and just begin plotting out how the jaw's going to look, just so we know what we're working with here. Alright, very rough. Okay, so nose, maybe a little bit lower. Probably would have been easier just to erase that. Now, a snarling Sphinx cat is pretty hideous, and we don't want to make this character too ugly, because I don't think it would go well, so we're going to try and tone it down a little bit, but still keep the facial features of a hissing cat. So, bared teeth. Plot out the eyes like before. Alright, I'm just gonna jump forward a bit. Okay, so here we go. Slightly more accurate expression for this character. I've still tried to keep it quite scary, because he is still a villain. I've toned it down a bit from how a cat would probably snarl, which can be quite, especially a Sphinx cat, a little bit gross. So yeah, I've condensed the wrinkles around this spot, so it's quite shadowy, and that helps with the whole aggressive eyes. Quite dark underneath. Flat ears. And there we go. Raised shoulders. If he had fur, it would be all fluffed up, as cats do. Okay. So getting a nice range like this of different poses, expressions, and actions really help in the development stage when you're trying to understand design better. In the next lesson, we'll learn a few of the final stages of design, such as clothing, turnarounds, inking, and color reference.